Hey guys, welcome back to another Python video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the for loop. Now, before I talk about the for loop, I first need to talk about sequences. Now, the basic definition is that a sequence in Python is just a collection of items in an order. So I'll just give a quick example. Python. The Python word is a whole sequence, and it is consisted of multiple parts in a certain order. In this case, it's all characters in a certain order to spell out Python. You have P, Y, T, H, O, N. 6 characters total. So this sequence is made up of six characters, 6 parts, I guess you could say. So that's basically what a sequence is. Sequences can come in forms of just like this, one word, take parts of like letters. It can also come in forms of a list, which we will talk about later. Now this is a good start to introduce for loops. What a for loop does, it basically repeats parts of a sequence over and over again until the sequence finishes. So first, let me just write this down. Then I'll explain what is exactly happening. I'm gonna print this real quickly. Now let me explain. So if you notice, when I printed it, it printed each letter of Python in its own row. So basically, this for line right here, what it does is that it looks at the whole sequence and sees what is the first part of this sequence. P is the first part. And now the letter P is assigned to a new variable. And this new variable, which I created, it can be anything. I just named it character. It is the P is assigned to this new variable called character. And then we're just printing character. So we're just printing P. Now it goes back to the top because this is a loop. And then it says, what is the next part of the sequence? After P will be Y. So then this character variable gets a new value, which is Y, prints Y, so forth, and eventually gets the last part, which is N. And the for loop sees it and it says, that's the end of the sequence. We're going to stop here. That's how the for loop works. And since we did it with just the word Python, we're going to do it with a list now. So for list, I'm going to do a list of 3 cities. So I'm going to create a variable called cities. To make a list, you do square bracket, and I'm just going to list some cities out here. So I do New York City, London, and Paris. That's how you create a list. Now I'm going to do a for loop, and then I'm going to create a variable here so a city. For city in cities, I'm going to print city. Print this, prints New York City, London, Paris, in different rows. It looks at the first value in this whole sequence in cities, which is New York City, prints that, then looks at the part after that in the sequence London, and then Paris, prints that. Now we're going to compare the while loop and the for loop. We're going to create a while loop and a for loop that just counts numbers up to 5. And while we're doing this, I'm going to introduce something called the range function while we're doing the for loop part. So a while is pretty simple. I'll do it called count equals 1. While count is less than or equal to 5. Print count. When count equals count plus 1. Like this, prints up to 5. This is easy. We talked about while loop last time, so put comments for all these so we can do the for loop and compare. So if you notice, before when I did the other examples, we already created a variable first and then use that variable in our for loop. But this is where we're going to use the range function, and we're not going to actually create a variable. So we're going to start with 4 right away. Let's do for number in. To write the range function, range, then you put in 2 numbers separated by commas. In this case, 1 and 6. Now what the range function does, it just takes the values between the 2 numbers that you set. So if it's 1 and 6, it takes the values between them. Now, I said before that we're going to make a loop that just prints 1 through 5. But I put 6 here. The reason is because the range function doesn't actually print the second number in the parentheses, so it won't actually print 6. It'll print up to 6. So it'll print 5, but then it won't actually print 6. So it goes up to 6, but this actually print 6. And if I see this, you can actually see that. So for the print and then the number, prints 1 through 5. Notice if I did 5 here, then it prints up to 4. So you always have to remember that the second number is not printed. It goes up to it, but doesn't actually print the number. And something else that you can actually notice is that the for loop, the whole syntax of it is so much shorter than the whole while loop process. So this is where the for loop would be a little bit better. Now finally, we're going to create a multiplication table with the for loop. In my while loop video at the end, I created a multiplication table with the while loop. So we're going to do the exact same thing with the for loop. So first, we're going to add the user for a number to create a multiplication table with. So we'll do number, create a variable int input, and enter number. And we're going to use the range function again, since for this multiplication table, I'm going to do values 1 through 10, because I'm going to do whatever number that the user inputs times 1, times 2, times 3, up to 10. We're going to stop at 10. So we'll do 4, and create a variable here. So this one, just do count in range 1, and then as I said, the second number is not printed. It goes up to it, but it's actually printed. So we don't want to write 10, or else it's only going to print up to 9. So we want to do 11, so it actually goes up to 10. And then we're going to create a new variable, which is going to be just the product of whatever's multiplied. So I'll just say it's called product equals, which is the number of the user inputter, and multiplying it by count. I'm going to print this in a little bit organized way. Number, comma, x for multiplication, showing the multiplication symbol, since most people write it as an x. Count, comma, equals, comma, product. Now if I print this, enter number, let's do 5. You can see that prints 5 times 1, all the way up to 10. So if you did watch the last video about the while loop, you can actually see that the for loop, again, is actually shorter because of this whole range function. The range function just makes it easier for you don't have to list everything out. It just does the listing for you. That's the end of this video. This is basically all about for loops and the range function and sequences. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.